So what happened with your plan? You were just one ball sticker of plan. I have no.
Okay, stop what you are doing. Stop scrolling. Stop everything. Because what I am about to tell you about Megan Thee Stallion is one of those moments where your jaw physically drops and you sit there thinking, wait, how is this even real? We are talking about one of the most powerful women in music right now. A woman who survived a literal shooting, dragged herself through years of trauma in the public eye, fought back louder than ever, built a brand that felt unstoppable, and just when she decides to reinvent herself on the grandest stage of the arts world, Broadway, the universe throws something at her that nobody saw coming. She didn't just have a bad night. She didn't just forget a line or stumble in her heels. She had to be rushed out of a live Broadway performance and taken to the hospital. Mid-show. With an audience still sitting in their seats, waiting, not knowing what was happening. This is the story of what went down inside the Moulin Rouge Theatre in New York City, and honey, it is messier, more emotional, and more dramatic than any script she was performing on that stage. Buckle up. First, let us rewind. Because for a lot of people, even the fact that Megan Thee Stallion was on Broadway was already a plot twist. We know Megan as the Houston hottie. The rapper who turned Hot Girl Summer into a cultural movement. The woman who dropped body-shaking hits, who went to college while charting, who kept releasing music even when the whole world was watching her personal life fall apart in the messiest possible way. She is someone who has fought so hard for her image, her voice, and her place in the industry. And then, Broadway. Not a cameo. Not a guest appearance on someone else's project. A full-on leading role in Moulin Rouge. The musical, one of the most demanding productions currently running in New York City. We are talking 8 shows a week, live singing, live dancing, live acting, no auto-tune, no retakes, no safety net. She was cast in the role of Harold Zeidler, the flamboyant, theatrical, over-the-top impresario of the Moulin Rouge cabaret. Think glitter, big costumes, dramatic monologues, and performing at full energy every single night for a packed theater of hundreds of people. This was not a casual decision. This was Megan saying, you know me as a rapper. Let me show you I am an artist. And here is what I love about that. Before the health scare, before all of this drama, Megan had actually spoken publicly about how seriously she was taking this role. She said she understood that Broadway requires a completely different kind of discipline. A different kind of preparation. That you cannot just walk on stage with charisma and expect it to carry you. You have to be trained. You have to be precise. You have to be consistent. She was clearly humbled by the challenge. And that humility? That made this whole thing hit even harder when it went wrong. Now let us get into the night itself. Picture this. The theater is packed. The lights go down. The music swells. Moulin Rouge. The musical begins, and there is Megan Thee Stallion, live, in costume, performing on the most iconic theatrical stage format in the world. The audience is buzzing. People are recording mental photographs. Some of them probably cannot believe they are watching a Grammy-winning rapper doing Broadway. The energy in that room must have been incredible. And then something shifted. At some point during the live performance, Megan starts feeling unwell. Now we do not know exactly what the moment looked like from the outside. Did she pause? Did her energy dip? Did the other performers notice something in her eyes? We do not have that level of detail, but what we do know is that whatever was happening inside her body was serious enough that she could not push through it. And this is where I need you to really sit with this, because Megan Thee Stallion is not the kind of woman who quits easily. This is a woman who performed through pain before. Emotionally, physically, she has been tested in public ways that most of us cannot even imagine. She does not just tap out. So for her to have to leave that stage mid-performance? Whatever was happening to her was real. It was not nerves. It was not stage fright. Something was genuinely, medically wrong. She had to leave the show. Midway through. While the audience was still there. While the curtain had not fallen. Now this is where the story gets a whole other layer of drama, because we have to talk about the audience experience. Imagine. You have paid good money to see Moulin Rouge on Broadway, and you have the added excitement of knowing Megan Thee Stallion is in the cast. You are settled into your seat. The show is going. And then it just stops. The show stops. And an announcement is made asking the audience to remain seated. Do you know what that does to a room full of people? In this era of social media, in a room full of New Yorkers who all have smartphones? The whispers start immediately. People are texting. People are pulling out phones under their seats. The energy shifts from theatrical excitement to genuine anxiety. Nobody knows if it is a technical problem. Nobody knows if there was an injury. Nobody knows if it is something more serious. The staff is not explaining. The audience is just sitting there, held in this strange suspended tension, waiting for someone to tell them what is happening. And then the confirmation comes. An announcement: Megan Thee Stallion will not be continuing in the performance tonight.
Megan Thee Stallion has been rushed to the hospital. Now this happened during her Moulin Rouge show tonight.
The room must have gone quiet in a very specific way. Not loud shock. Just that heavy, uncertain kind of silence when you realize something real just happened to a real person. A replacement performer stepped in to take over her role so the show could continue, because, as they say in theater, the show must go on. And it did. But it was not the same show anyone had come to see that night. And everyone knew it. One audience member later posted online describing exactly this experience: the sudden stop, the ask to remain seated, the announcement, the unsettled feeling of not knowing what had happened to her. That post spread fast. Because it confirmed what people were already wondering: this was not a planned intermission. This was real. And that is when the internet caught fire. Because within minutes of that audience member's post, the machine was in motion. People who were at the show started posting. People who were not at the show started sharing. And then, the most gut-punching piece of the story dropped. Kellen Derrick posted. Now, if you do not know who Kellen Derrick is, he is Megan's hairstylist, but more importantly, he is one of her closest friends. This is not a PR rep, this is not a publicist. This is someone who is in her personal circle, someone who actually loves her as a human being. And he posted, asking fans to pray for her. Let that sink in for a second. When your hairstylist and best friend is at the hospital with you asking strangers on the internet to pray, this is not a "she has a headache" situation. This is not mild fatigue, she needs rest. This is someone in her inner circle, scared enough that he felt compelled to put it on social media and ask for prayers. The comments section? Flooded. The likes? Shot up to the tens of thousands instantly. Artists, fans, media accounts, everyone was tagging each other, saying, "Wait, did you see this?" The concern was immediate and it was real. And then the official Moulin Rouge website confirmed, Megan would not be performing in the next scheduled shows either. That second announcement hit different. Because it told us this was not a one-night thing. She was not resting overnight and coming back tomorrow. The shows were being cancelled or recast. Whatever happened to her was serious enough that even her upcoming performances were being pulled. Now this is where the official version enters the story. Because when celebrities get hospitalized, there is always a very careful dance between what actually happened and what the public gets told.
Publicist just responded with this statement saying that during Tuesday night's production, Megan started feeling very ill.
Her representative, Didier Moret, released a statement. The statement confirmed that Megan suddenly fell ill during the performance and was taken to the hospital, where doctors were evaluating her condition. He also said that more information would be shared once there was clarity about her health. And look, on the surface, this is a very standard celebrity health crisis statement. It is measured. It is calm. It does not give you much. But read between the lines. Suddenly fell ill. Suddenly. Not gradually. Not, she had been feeling under the weather.
I know, she's a Broadway girl. And the first thing on Broadway I ever do is the iconic.
Suddenly. That word is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It tells you this came on fast. It tells you there was not a slow build where she probably should have cancelled the show in advance. This hit her on that stage, in real time, without warning. And doctors are currently checking her condition, meaning as of the time that statement was released, they did not even have a diagnosis yet. They were still figuring out what was wrong. That detail is actually terrifying if you stop to think about it. She was literally at the hospital, doctors running tests, nobody knowing yet what had caused this. The fact that her team was at the hospital with her, not just one person, her team, tells you how serious the mood was in that building. Now here is where I have to get real with you. Because this health scare did not happen in a vacuum. Look at Megan Thee Stallion's life over the last few years. This woman has been through things that would break most people twice over. The shooting incident. The trial. The public scrutiny. The way she was treated in the media. The constant commentary on her body, her choices, her relationships. The legal battles. The emotional weight of all of it playing out in front of the entire world. And through all of that, she kept working. She kept releasing music. She kept showing up. She announced the Broadway role. She prepared for it. She was out there every night, performing at maximum capacity. People on social media started asking a question that deserves to be taken seriously. How much can one person's body absorb before it starts to push back? Stress does things to the human body. Real, physical things. It affects the immune system. It affects the cardiovascular system. It affects sleep, digestion, energy, everything. And when you pile that kind of chronic pressure onto a performance schedule that demands you to be physically and emotionally available 8 times a week, live, on stage, in front of hundreds of people, the body sometimes says, no more. We do not know what specifically made Megan ill. And we are not going to speculate medically. But the timing of this, coming off years of the most publicly stressful period of her life, right in the middle of this bold new artistic chapter, it made a lot of people pause and think about what it really means to push yourself past your limits. Some fans online were genuinely emotional. Not just concerned, emotional. She has been through so much and she deserved this moment to be perfect, someone wrote. And honestly? That kind of sentiment was everywhere. Let us talk about how the public actually responded. Because this is always where celebrity stories get their full texture. The dominant reaction was concern. Not judgment. Not drama. Genuine, we hope she is okay, energy, and that is actually notable, because Meghan has had a complicated relationship with public sympathy over the years. There have been moments where things happened to her and the internet was not kind. This was not one of those moments. People were unified. Fans were posting throwback videos of her Broadway rehearsals, saying things like, "She worked so hard for this," and "She deserves to heal and come back stronger." The supportive energy was overwhelming. But of course, and you knew this was coming, there was also a minority of people using it as an opportunity for cruelty. Comments questioning whether she was really sick. People implying it was some kind of publicity stunt. The usual corners of the internet doing what they do. Those takes got ratioed almost immediately. Nobody was here for that energy. Even people who are not necessarily fans of Meghan were pushing back on the dismissive commentary. Because regardless of how you feel about someone as a celebrity, when someone is in the hospital, the basic floor of human decency should still apply. Fellow artists also responded. The Broadway community, which operates with a specific kind of solidarity, because every person in that world knows how brutal the schedule is, expressed support quickly. Theater people know what it takes to do 8 shows a week. They know what it means to have to leave that stage. Their empathy was immediate and specific. Here is the twist that makes this whole story land differently than a typical celebrity health scare. This did not happen on a random Tuesday night performance. This happened during what was supposed to be Meghan's triumphant reinvention. Think about the narrative arc here. She came out of the most difficult years of her public life. She pivoted. Instead of retreating, instead of playing it safe, she walked onto the most exposed, most live, most demanding performance platform that exists, Broadway, and said, "Watch me." That choice was already being celebrated. It was already being written about as her comeback narrative. Megan Thee Stallion, the rapper who survived everything, now conquering theater. And then this. The cruelest kind of drama is not the kind that involves bad decisions or controversy. It is the kind that happens when someone is doing everything right, working hard, showing up, being brave, and life still throws something at them. That is what this feels like. And that is why it hit so hard emotionally for her fans. She was not in a club making questionable decisions. She was not at the center of some beef or scandal. She was on a stage, performing, doing the work. And her body said stop. Let us zoom out for a second, because this story is bigger than just one health scare. What Megan Thee Stallion doing Broadway represented was important. It was a rapper, a black woman rapper, specifically, stepping into a space that historically has not always welcomed people who look like her. Broadway has had its own complicated history with representation, with who gets starring roles, with what kinds of stories get told. Her casting in Moulin Rouge was a statement. And her choosing to take it seriously, to prepare rigorously, to show up every night, that was another statement. The health scare interrupting that narrative is genuinely sad. But here is the thing about Megan Thee Stallion that her entire career has proven: she does not stay down. She has come back from worse. She has come back from things that would have ended other careers. A temporary health setback, as worrying as it is not the end of this chapter. If anything, and this is pure speculation based on everything we know about her personality, she is going to come back to that stage with more fire, more intention, and more to prove than ever. And here is where we land. As of right now, there is no confirmed diagnosis. Her team has said they will share more details when there is clarity. The next performances are cancelled. Her hairstylist asked for prayers. The theater website confirmed her absence. And the entire internet, fans, media, fellow artists, curious observers, is waiting. Waiting to find out what happened. Waiting for her to speak. Waiting for the update that tells us she is okay. Because whether you are a die-hard Meg fan or someone who just follows celebrity news casually, there is something about this particular story that hits a nerve. Maybe it is the vulnerability of it, a powerful woman reduced in one evening from a star on stage to a patient in a hospital. Maybe it is the timing, mid-reinvention, mid-comeback, mid-something important.